It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show.
The only show about Latinos for Latinos. And did we mention Latinos?
It's the Latísima.
Latinos come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You don't have to be Latino to enjoy chips and salsa.
Everybody loves chips and salsa.
Welcome to the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico. I'm Alice Lara. I'm here with
Zeke Rodriquez,
the
sexy New Mexican.
The sexy New Mexican.
New
Mexican. I asked him if I could be the sexy old New Mexican.
No,
but he said no.
because she knows Spanish. I don't, so she can be the sexy Mexican. It's fine with me.
Well, our guest we're going to bring on, he probably knows better Spanish than both of us.
He probably does.
Let's come up with a name for him. We're going to get right to Tim Foley here in just a moment. Do not click us off because this could be a great show about border disorder. Big time. Just a reminder, this is the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico, and we appreciate you following us, Chipsters. We're here. We record the show on Mondays, and then we upload it later to our YouTube channel and Rumble. Please follow us on Rumble. Please tell people about us. We're here to spread the word. Some polytainment sometimes, but a lot of serious topics that really just don't get covered out there.
Yeah, no.
So
especially what we just talked about.
Yeah, we just had another big, it was a huge show. So this is going to be even great. So I am honored when I was doing the Chips and Salsa show in Arizona, and that's still on, by the way. Don Jorge is still doing the show once in a while when he can. But we're honored to have this wonderful guest, my good friend, Tim Foley. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to see you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Just a little background. Tim, he is the founder and field operations director of Arizona Border Recon. You can go to the website, which is Arizona Border Recon, RECON.org. He has a fantastic story. Tim knows so much about what's happening down at the border. I'll tell you real quick. He's got a fantastic story from Arizona. He was in construction. So what I'm going to do, Tim, I'm going to toss it to you and tell the audience what you were doing in Arizona, what led you to the creation of Arizona Border Recon, what that's all about, and then we'll get into more details about what currently is going on down there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Like Alice said, my name is Tim Foley, founder, field operations director for Arizona Border Recon. I started this, I'm heading into my 14th year.
Wow.
Yeah. Nobody's done it longer than we have. I lived in Phoenix, was working construction, high rise, running a 150 men crew. 75% of them couldn't speak English, so I had to have an interpreter with me. And then every Monday morning I do a safety meeting asking how many are you missing, how many are you missing. It'd be like, I'm missing 5, I'm missing 3, and it's like, well, what happened? E-Verify caught them. Where in construction, if somebody's missing, usually it ends up they're hungover and drunk from they got paid. But no, E-Verify caught them, and so I would have to call the union hall and get more carpenters out to fill the hole. And 3 weeks later, and this was just every week this would happen. And so 3 weeks later, the same guys would show up, and I was going, well, what's this all about? They're going, well, E-Verify caught us, so we took a couple of weeks off. And then, we went out and bought a fake ID and fake social security card, paid the union 50 or 100 bucks to get back in. And then
the union was complicit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They don't care as long as they get money, As long as you pay your dues, the union's happy. And most unions nowadays are just political action committees,
Yeah.
So
I agree. I used to be in one.
Yeah. So this just went on, and I was making $85,000 a year building high rises. And so 2008 hit with the housing fiasco. And I went from $85,000 a year to $12,000 a year overnight. And
So $80,000 a year in those times is like $300,000 a year in today's time.
Yeah, yeah. So I lost everything, and what I got tired of the narrative that the government and the media were saying at the time, because that was under Obama at that time. And so it was, don't worry, they're coming and doing jobs Americans won't do. And don't worry, the border is safe and secure. So I knew the first one was a lie. And when not one banker in this country went to jail, I said, you know what, I'm done. So I went and down to the border, stayed in my truck for the first 2 months, just going out in the daytime, finding the trails, finding water drops, then go back to my truck and lock myself in and have my assorted armaments next to me. And it's just evolved from there. Like I said, going into my 14th year. I've humped over 3,000 miles of human and dope smuggling trails. I've got over 200 humanitarian water drops, GPSed. I'm It's my backyard now. What the sad thing is that, even under Obama, it wasn't this bad. And then when Trump came in, holy cow, was it great. Thought I was, going to be out of a job, because I never thought I'd see a fence get built. But there's 19 miles of fence down where we're at that start at Sassabee and head east. But in that 19 miles, there's probably 20 holes in the fence. And then at the end of the 19 miles, there's about a 15-mile gap till it comes out of Nogales to the west. Where we go, Border Patrol can't go anymore because they're being overwhelmed with poor women and children coming in the flatlands. And so Sassabee's a mess. I mean, they're coming out we call it they're hauling them out Taliban style. There's so many of them, which means everybody's standing up in the back of the pickup truck so they can squeeze even more to get them out to the road so they can get them on the buses. Last month, September, 270,000 came across. That's what Border Patrol put their hands on.
Okay, you're just talking about the Arizona border?
That's the whole southern border.
The whole southern border. Okay.
Yeah. 270,000 in 1 month. And the month before that, it was just about 5,000 or 6,000 less. So, I mean, in the time he's been in there, we're at 8 to 10 million that have come across. Now, those numbers don't even include the 75 to 90,000 gotaways a month. So you're looking just in gotaways in a year, you're looking at 1 million.
Well, Tim, you said so that's about 10 million, as you say. The population of Arizona is over 7, New Mexico's over 2. That's the population of both those two southern states right there. And it's more, as you said, because that's kind of what we know.
And that's just what they think is getting away. And so lately, my phone's been blowing up from media from around the world since the surprise attack by Hamas. It's like, come on, that wasn't a surprise attack. You let it happen. But that's another story. But
yeah. You can talk all the common sense you want on here, man.
Well, I mean, look, Gaza is the most heavily watched piece of dirt on the planet. Mossad is the best intel organization on the planet. And you mean, oh my God, we were surprise attacked.
7 hours, no response. 7 hours.
Yeah. Well, that's because the other war to try to start World War III is not going so well. So let's start something else where it can just domino in a heartbeat.
But the real war is where you're at, man. What you're doing. That's what we should be focusing on.
Well, the problem down there is, and I've been trying to tell media for over a decade, the war on terror and the war on drugs is all coming together right there on the border.
Amen.
And, we've even turned in video of a Syrian national who was on the government watch list and they picked him up 6 weeks after we gave him the video, and he was in Washington, D.C. So the problem being with the jihadis that are coming through, and we know they're coming through, is the biggest problem is they have the same physical characteristics as Hispanics. Dark hair, dark eyes, dark complexion. The only way we can tell if there's somebody who's not Hispanic is when we interdict and stop a group and issue a command to say, like, sit down. And you'll see pretty much everybody does it, but there's one or two looking around and then they mimic and then they'll sit down. And then it's like, okay, take your shoelaces out. And we always take their shoelaces because then they can't run.
Oh, okay.
So we tell them to do something else. And then you see somebody that they're mimicking like 15, 20 seconds after everybody else has started to do it. So we separate them. And now because Biden's in, there's only 3 ways that we call Border Patrol. One, if we suspect they're from a known terrorist country. 2 is if there's women or children in the group. And 3 is if it's dope. If it's just regular, we don't know who you are, and we stop you. Basically, what we do now is drop your packs, pick up your water, turn around, and try it again.
And is that the majority of people?
Is what
those criteria that you stop?
that we turn around?
Mm-hmm.
No, it varies. I mean, I have video, and the hard part about the videos that we're catching is it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I got a lone coyote going by with 10 little girls right behind them. And so, yeah, the child sex trafficking is going on. The last group we held on to them for 6 hours. And it was because there was 2 sisters in the group. One was 17, the other one was 19. And we start questioning them and we ask them, so how much did you pay to get across? And they're going, oh, we didn't have to pay anything. It's like, really? So where were you going? And they're going, well, they didn't tell us where we're going. That's when we told them, you're so lucky that we stopped you because you were going into the sex trade. And that's when it dawned on them. And they didn't want to get even when Border Patrol showed up 6 hours later, they didn't want to get in the back of the truck with them. They asked him if they could ride up front with the Border Patrol agent. He goes, no, you can't. And they're like, we don't know these people. And it's like, it's a very, where we are is a lot different than, say, Texas, Yuma, and a few other spots where they're just coming across and standing there with their Sunday best on and i10 phones or their iPhones, waiting for Border Patrol. A buddy of mine named Ben Burquam, who does Real America's Voice, he was just over in Lukeville. In 1 hour, 500 Africans came across the fence, through the hole in the fence.
500, not
500 in 1 hour. 500. Yeah. So my thing is look, if you're coming from a third world country and you're broke ass as anything, or you're getting the money to pay for a flight from Africa to Mexico, and then pay a coyote to get you all the way through Mexico and then into the United States, you got to be looking about 10 grand minimum. So where's all this money coming from? Who's doing this? This is all part of a plan. And I've been trying to tell people in media, it's part of the Cloward Piven strategy. And if you know what the Cloward Piven strategy is, Cloward and Piven were a husband and wife team back in the 60s that came out of UC Berkeley. And they were aligned with Saul Alinsky and Pelosi and all them and the Weather Underground, and they're basically communist. So the Cloward pivot strategy is if you bring enough impoverished people into a nation that has wealth, that after so many come into that nation, it cannot support it and it collapses and then turns into a socialist country. And that's where we're heading right now.
That sure sounds like what's happening. And Tim, I have to give you kudos. A lot of people are watching or getting to know you for the first time. And Tim's been around a long time. He knows all about this. He's been trying to educate people until we've had him on our show in the past. And we just don't see enough people like him. I should mention too, your background, you have a military background also, right? Weren't you?
Yeah, I was
from the military?
82nd Airborne. I was a paratrooper. And most of my guys are former military because it takes a certain mindset to go out into the mountains and sit on a hilltop when it's 115, 120 degrees, all the way down to 0 degrees, or in the pouring rain or in the snow, and just sit there. And with a pair of binoculars and a radio and watch. I mean, down where we are, if you go to our YouTube channel, Arizona Border Recon, within the past year, we've gotten videos where we got cartel in Arizona with AK-47s. There's where we go right now, there's 2 rival factions of the Sinaloa cartel fighting it out. And we'll wake up.
There's 2 factions of the cartel. That's interesting.
Oh, they're crazy as goddamn Congress. But one's aligned.
That's why they get along so well.
We've had a Congress of decades.
Half of the Sinaloa is aligned with the Chapitos, which is Chapo's kids. The other half is aligned with his former lieutenant, El Mayo. And so they're fighting over the rights for the trails down where we are, because they're some of the most lucrative trails on the whole southern border, because there is no border patrol. There's only 2 roads to get in there, and they're sitting on the hilltops and they can see you 4 miles before you get down into it. So that's why we get a lot of gotaways. There's a lot of dope. I mean, like I said, go to the YouTube channel. You'll see cartel from one side drops in, and then you'll see them go back out, but they have their pistols drawn and guy's hands are tied behind his back. They did a rip on the other cartel's dope that was coming through. And we've been there in the morning and wake up at 6:15 in the morning to belt-fed machine gun fire, followed a couple seconds later by 50 caliber rifle fire back. And it's like, hey, they're cleaning a house over there.
You're just in a big, giant war zone. I was looking at your Facebook site. So for our audience, just go to Arizona Border Recon on Facebook.
25,000 followers. That's pretty damn awesome.
And you have some good stories. I mean, like, nothing to see here, just people looking for a better life. 61,471 migrants from, quote, special interest countries entered the U.S. in fiscal 2023. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's other stories about this. So if you're on Facebook,
Yep.
I also go to the website.
Yeah, they're the sad thing about the 25,000 followers, and then if you go to the YouTube channel, I probably got the same, if not more. And we're a volunteer organization, so out of say 50,000 followers between the 2 social medias, do you know how much I get in donations a month?
I would have no idea.
$5.
$5?
Yeah, one lady sends a $5 reoccurring donation every month.
Oh.
That's why I'm out in California right now working, because they pay so well, so I can keep doing this. So I'm funding everything. I've got over $200,000 of my own money into this. And
God bless you for that, man. I don't know if you knew, but George Washington funded all of the wars leading up to the Revolutionary War for 5 years.
yeah, well, he had more money than me.
Well, he had a lot more money than everybody in the world at that time. He was extremely well off, and he earned late in his teenage years as well. He earned that. He didn't come from money. He earned it.
That's true. Well, if somebody wanted to donate to your cause, what's the best way to do
let's
that?
hit this guy up.
That would be Give, Send, Go. the only people who haven't banned us, and I don't know if you've seen it, that they just told the who is it, Michigan Attorney General, go pound sand. They wanted all kinds of info on who was donating to Donald Trump. And they're the organization that when the Canadian truckers GoFundMe said no, GoFundMe said yes, and the Canadian government tried to tell them you can't do that. They go, you can't tell us who we can raise money for. So give send go is the only one that's there. And somebody put it up for me, and it has a ceiling of 100,000. And I think in the past 2.5 years, I'm at about 10,000. But 3 months ago,
Oh,
huh?
no, go ahead.
3 months ago, I spent 40,000 on 3 pieces of gear for the op. I spent 30,000 on a new drone that has thermal capabilities and long range daytime capabilities. I bought a thermal monocular that has a 1 mile range, and I bought top of the line spotting scope. So I'm always upgrading when I can, and that's what I do is I'll bounce back to make a couple thousand here, make a couple thousand there, and that all goes back into buying gear. I got over 20,000 just in radios for the guys because we run fully encrypted radios so that nobody can hear us when we're talking on radios. Because the cartel's trying to figure out what we're doing.
So, a couple quick questions. So, other guys in the past who've dealt with border crimes and border, sex trafficking, have you ever found like rape trees or like instances of you have?
Yeah. And you go to the YouTube channel, I'll show you we're humping through the mountains and you can see the fence and there's a female skull sitting there and it's got a big crack down the side of the head. They made it in maybe 1/8 of a mile, 1/4 of a mile. And then they say, all right, you're going to give it up. And if they fight back, then they do what is called rocking. They just pick up a big ass bowl and they'll crack you upside the head. And the size of the skull and only the one shoe that was left there, it was either a young female or a Guatemalan female because it was a small skull and it was a female tennis shoe.
That's horrible. I've heard about that's becoming very common where they'll find these, obviously traumatic instances are happening. And then also I have heard that there was a lot, even though the cartels are involved, there's a lot of like satanic or devil worshiping going on out there. Is that true? Have you read anything like that?
Well, I mean, I know of a shrine. It's an MS-13 shrine. Because it's tagged MS-13. I don't know why they carry spray paint all the way in the hell out there, but they do. And it's tagged MS-13, and there's a Santa Muerta statue. And then there's pesos laid all around it, and they put a little cover over it to protect it, and food products are left. And so, yeah, it's a strange freaking thing where it's like when I lived in Sassabee, every house was trashed from them, doing layups in it and everything. The only building in the town that wasn't trashed was the church. And it was nope, don't touch the church. It's like, wait a second, you pray to base of Santa Muerta, the god of death, and yet you are afraid of Jesus Christ.
No, he has more power.
It actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah. It's interesting, and we're getting ready to go back out here in a few weeks.
Have you guys done any like group prayers? Have you guys brought Jesus Christ out there with you at all? Just curious.
Not really, because I feel that when you're out there, you feel like he's left that place.
Right?
It's like,
I bet he does. I bet it does.
It's I used to go out by myself and check cameras. I won't do it anymore. It's
I don't blame you.
Don't do
too
it.
freaking dangerous now down there. So I have to go out when I get one of my guys that has a day off and goes, okay, I can go check cameras with you because I got 6 cameras out there right now. And that will take a full 8 hours just to go pull the SD cards out of the 6 cameras.
Tim, are you, I know that the Border Patrol is out there too, and they're even more limited, as you said, especially with this administration. But how closely can you actually work with them and give intel? And I don't know to what extent you can even talk about this with us.
Hold on one sec. Somebody rolling by with some luggage that makes a lot of noise. I gotta turn up my volume.
No problem.
So if you don't mind too, Mr. Foley, before we end, I'd like to have a prayer for you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, how much more time do you have you can stay with us?
whatever you want. So your question again, because I couldn't hear it.
No, I was just wondering, it's been a long time since we've talked to you, and thanks. We're going to keep you on then at least another 15 minutes,
please.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
But now that the Border Patrol is so, I mean, I don't even know how they do their job. They can't do their job. It's impossible. And at least you guys are out there. Are you able to work with them at all?
I mean, like I said, where we go, they're not there. I mean, and if we do call them, we have to use satellite phones to call because there's no cell reception, which is another expense. That's $1,000 a year. But my life is worth more than $1,000 a year, so I pay for a satellite phone. Yeah, we can go out there and we can go out for 2 weeks and never see one agent because they're so, like I said, they're so overwhelmed in the flat grounds. The checkpoints are closed again because they don't have enough manpower.
They don't even have the checkpoints open.
No, just the big ones like on I-19 is open, and then a couple of other ones in the area, but not the one coming out of Arivaca. That one's been closed now for a long time.
Tim, what about the farmers? Farmers have been suffering so much with all this stuff. Is it getting any better for them at all?
In some locations it is. I mean, I know all the ranchers out there, and the ranchers were saying, I can't wait for the wall to go up because then my cattle won't be over in Mexico, and I can't go into Mexico to go get my cattle because of what's going on. But, they never got it all the way done because Congress fought them. See, the interesting thing about the wall is, what was it, back in 91 or 2001? Anyway, it was during Obama. Congress approved building the wall. They just never appropriated the money.
Right.
So Trump said, well, you already approved it, so here's the money. And they fought him for so long that he never had a chance to finish it. And that's sad. And then Biden turned around and took all the material that was there, turned around and sold it.
It's a bipartisan issue too. That's why I was able to get through Congress, because most Democrats, most people want the wall,
Well, they do now because look at New York and look at Chicago. So look at there was a high school football team that went to a city council meeting all dressed in their gear going, you're going to take over our field house and pack it full of illegals. What about us? They're filling the schools, the gymnasiums, and that thanks to Abbott. Hey, you guys have sanctuary cities? Here, have some. They're like, oh no, we like them, but not in our backyard. Only in your backyard.
And now they want to send us the Palestinians. You see, Ocasio-Cortez send us all the Palestinians over here. I mean, these are the Middle Eastern Muslim countries won't even take them. They don't even consider Muslim.
And that's my thought process is if you look at what's happening right now across the planet, it's not just happening here. It's happening all in Western Europe.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, they're going to what is classified as white European Christian nations. And if you look at it even closer, they're only going to NATO nations. Look, I guarantee you they're not going anywhere else but to NATO nations.
Yeah, I used to work for NATO. It's It's one of the most evil places I've ever worked.
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's all about war, kind of like the UN. You know, the UN was brought in as a way to eliminate wars in the planet by talking, having heads of every country there. But since the UN's been in existence, there's been more wars than the whole time of history before the UN.
Yeah, they were created. It's the United Nations because they wanted to compete against the United States of America. So they made the UN, and then their front statue. I don't know if you guys knew this, but their statue in the front is a man with a gun, but the gun is disassembled. It's bent
Yeah.
over.
And then
They're going to end war by taking everybody's
It's
guns.
supposed to be
well,
the peace.
the land was donated to the UN by Rockefeller.
Oh,
Did
the
you?
old Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Sure, the Rothschilds were involved with that, or the
Oh
DuPont.
yeah. And the DuPonts and the
Right.
Warburgs and the Rothschilds and yeah.
Tim, tell the average American out there. I mean, I know, I'm so fortunate to know you, and you have such good information. Your boots on the ground, like I was saying, you know more probably than anybody else. But what can you tell American people like us and yourself, hope-wise? What can they do? What should they do? Take 5 minutes and go with it, buddy.
Well, if I could tell people to do something and do what I'm doing, I'm now stockpiling. You better have a minimum of 6 months worth of food. You better have ammo. Because I have contacts in the government, and I look at certain websites, and everything is pointing to all hell breaking loose next year. And so
I agree with that.
I'm getting ready because you see, the vast majority of people in this country, I think it's 80%, have 3 days worth of food in their house because they're so used to going to the
junk food.
Say what?
I said, you think they'd have that just in junk food?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, but they're so used to going to the store, and we've become too complacent. Back when the Great Depression and World War II and everything else, people had gardens. People grew their own food. They bartered meat and everything else. But now, all anybody wants to do is get on a cell phone and.
So you're saying basically prepare for the apocalypse to happen next year, or to begin at least.
Yeah, because what is happening right now on the border, I mean, we don't even know how many sleeper cells are sitting around, and they are allowing this to happen. Mayorga, he's an immigrant. He's a Cuban immigrant, and he's a Castro Cuban. So the guy who's supposedly protecting our country is a freaking communist.
I didn't know that about him.
I didn't either.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I tend to agree with you. I like to try to maintain an optimistic outlook on things because I do meet awesome people like you today. You're freaking amazing. And there are good people out there, but you bring me back to reality, man. And you're on the front lines there at the border. And when you have all these people coming over, you don't know how many. You already know that they're all military-aged men. They're out raping girls like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
And so these are the kind of people that we're going to have to deal with should the power go out, should a nuclear fallout happen, whatever. So, yeah, I tend to agree with what you're saying, although I do feel like those of us that can protect ourselves, that can sustain what we're about to go through, will be able to build a new future. It may not be America as we know it, because the way as we know it today didn't work.
No, it's broken. It's broken.
So we're going to have to recreate a new future based on the principles of our founding fathers, because a lot of it did work. A lot of it is great.
Over 200 years.
So see, what happened was in the beginning that the founding fathers want to go, hey, I'm going to DC, watch my farm while I'm gone. And they go up and they come back. They weren't paid.
Right.
It was
Wasn't
public
a career.
public service. You know, they were public servants.
Yes, sir.
They served the public. So they go up and come back, everything good? Yeah, I'm good. All right, I'm going to go up. You watch my stuff. Then when it turned and they turned this country into just a money greedy is when it turned into a paid full-time position.
When do you think that was? When was that?
That was back in what was it? Turn of the 1900s, early 1900s.
Sounds about right. Well, that's when we sold. That's when we got into the corporate America, right? That's when we.
Well, that's right. Also, I think it was in the early teens that the FBI and the IRS were both created on the same day.
Well, we corporatized America. We got out of the. We went into the LLC. I think 1887, 1888.
Yeah. And see, that's why they didn't like Trump. Trump knew what was going on, and he knew
Right.
that. Wait a second, we're not a corporation. You're trying to make it, and so, yeah. And
So that makes perfect sense, man. Right when they, and that's when Rockefeller had to sell his shares because he had such a monopoly on the oil.
yep,
He was the richest man on earth. He bought Pharmacopoeia up. He bought all the universities up. And then you said the FBI was created around that time. So man, that makes perfect sense.
yep, the FBI and the IRS on the same day.
Damn, the two worst agencies that we deal with today.
Well, they just busted a ATF agent for running guns to a cartel.
No way.
You
Wow.
didn't see that? Oh
I'm
yeah,
surprised he
I
got
missed
caught.
that.
They should have let that guy
Did
go.
that just happen, Tim? I missed that.
yeah. Just a couple of days ago, they released it. Supposedly, from the memo, it's coming from 2017. They started watching him. So he's been running guns. Yeah, ATF. Yeah,
Damn, 2017.
yeah. So I mean, ATF should be a goddamn convenience store.
Well, it's one of the
Wow.
most sloppy organizations that we have in our country.
Oh, yeah.
From what I understand, they're always screwing things up, misappropriating funds. They can't get a solid leader. I mean, it's just been one of the biggest fraud, waste, and abuse of bureaucracies America's ever seen.
The sad thing about this country is the justice system is meant for just us, which
Correct.
is
Yeah.
the left. I mean, look at Obama and Eric Holder. They were running guns to the cartel. And their thought process behind that was if we supply the Sinaloa cartel with guns, then they can take over everything. And then we only have to deal with one cartel. And it's like,
Fast and Furious. That's right. Yeah.
yeah. And I met Brian Terry 2 months before he was killed by a cartel with guns from Fast and Furious.
Wow.
But
Now we see Hamas with our guns too that we left in Afghanistan. That's the guns that they.
oh
have.
yeah, well, guess where those and the surprise attack
Surprise.
in Israel and down on our border. They just said
Yep.
the CJNG. You know who the CJNG is? The
No.
cartel Jalisco New Generation.
Uh-huh.
They now have miniguns. You know
They
what a
have-
mini? You know what a minigun is?
From Terminator 2 when he freaking kicks the window open and blows down a freaking helicopter with
Oh my
it.
God.
Yeah, they have those. Guess where they got those?
Gee, I'd be surprised.
At
Us?
the arms market in Afghanistan. It's just insane.
Wow, man.
They want this to happen. There's no other explanation. And when I tell people, you know, you better be ready, and I do keep an optimistic that we won't go there, but my thought process is it's better to have and not want than to want and not have.
There you go. No, it's so true. It saddens me so much though, because over 100 years ago, my grandparents and our ancestors, well, my ancestry is Mexico, and they came over here because they're trying to get away from this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And here we are back again. I mean, I have
Well,
to keep fighting.
A long time ago, basically not a long time ago, 3 decades or so ago, that most of the world's standard of living was here. Ours was here. So they were trying to get everybody to come up so that everybody was equal. Well, they found out it's easier to drop us down to everybody else's level than it is to bring everybody up to our level.
Yeah, they want to control that permanent underclass. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
don't want.
it's always been in Mexico. You had the high upper class and the lower class, but there was nobody in the middle.
Yep, they
Wow.
they don't want critical thinkers anymore. They
Well,
want.
they were a long
They've
time ago.
achieved that. Yeah, we were talking about the education in another show.
Well,
Tim,
did
I don't
you-
want to keep you forever,
One
but-
thing. Let me this
but
one.
I'm not going
Oh,
to
yeah,
shut you
please,
off.
Yeah, please, yeah.
This should blow your mind. The World Economic Forum just held a conference, and the lady that was speaking, you can find the video on internet. She was saying, we didn't achieve our worldwide goal of 70% vaccinated. It fell horribly off of the 70%.
It was like 40% or something, right?
Yeah, but they want 100%. They were shooting for 70, but they want 100. So she's sitting there going, one way we can make it happen is if we put it in the water, because everybody has to drink water. I was going, you sick, evil.
It is evil.
Yeah, they're so detached from God. I mean, they're so delusional. I mean, the devil, Satan is, it's all about delusion. It's all about deception. And so they think that they're going to upload their. I mean, you talk to any Google employee, executive, they think they're going to upload their consciousness to the cloud and live forever.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's some guys out there, I can't remember his name, but he's only in his 30s, and my son-in-law is reading a book by, man, it made the hair on my arm stand up thinking about that guy. And my son-in-law, he's a bright kid, but I was going, dude, do you know who this guy is and what he talks about? He goes, oh yeah. I was like, he's talking about a useless class of people that will be exterminated because they're useless. So in other words, just your.
It's eugenics. Who was the author?
I can't remember his name. He's also tied in with the World Economic Forum. And
Yuval Harari. Is it Yuval Harari?
Yeah, I think that's him. Yep.
That all came from Plato's philosopher kings. He talked about eugenics back then, before Christ, how there would be a permanent underclass that was disposable, essentially. So a lot of these newer guys basically take a lot of the writing took a lot of writings from Plato, as did the church. The church did the same thing. And yeah, man, that's depressing.
But the sad thing is that the way look at the higher education system in this country, they're so easily brainwashed now that this guy's talking to them. They're like, oh, okay. And it's like, you're an idiot. You're going to be one of the
thinking process.
Yeah. It's kind of like the LGBTQRS PDQ group that is protesting gays for Palestine and Hamas. I'm like, you're
That's
idiots.
wild.
Yeah.
They would throw you off a damn roof.
Or worse, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, they'll throw you off the
They're
roof.
so delusional. It's hilarious. I think this is what's called the fourth turning of the planet. And I think we're in for lots of good to overtake evil coming up soon. But I think we're in for 7 years of darkness before we hit the light.
Yeah, that's what they say, and I tend to agree. And I agree, because if you just look at the mundane, regular person, they're so detached, disconnected, uneducated, ignorant, and essentially evil that it's almost like, yeah, man, send the meteor, send the meteor.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. It's a lot easier if you don't have to pay attention.
Hey, I'm in California. This is one blissful place.
What part of California?
I'm down in Long Beach.
Oh, okay.
For about 2 more days.
Beautiful place. Well, I hope you raise a lot of money. So
Yeah.
once again, if you want to support Tim, please do. And it's the Go Send Me, right?
Give, Send, Go.
I don't know what it is even. Terrible. Is it on the Facebook site? If I went to the Facebook
It's
site,
no, it's on our website.
website. Okay.
Yeah, there's
so
a donate page on our website, and it'll take you there. It's
the
Give, Send,
website
Go.
is
Tim Foley.
ArizonaBorderRecon.org.
Org.
Maybe you'd like to talk to him as well. Tim, we'd like to have you on maybe on a regular, maybe once a month we can have you
Yeah,
on.
man. I love your insights, man. We need to know, people need to know how bad it is at the border so they can start preparing.
Or come visit us down here. Yeah.
Well, we do have a good friend, State Representative Jennifer Jones, and her district is all southern New Mexico. So she butts up right against Arizona on their border as well.
Right.
And she's been dealing with the same stuff you're dealing with, man. So I'd love to try to get you guys together. Maybe we can do a show, all of us together, because she's just as outspoken and ready to expose it as you are, but she's an actual representative. So
Right. Not anytime. I mean,
even Walt Blackman, we can try to get Walt Blackman involved too, because he's on the border. Isn't his district on the border too? I think he's southern Arizona.
I
Phoenix?
can't remember where he is. Is he still in the legislature?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, either way, we want to hang out with you more, man. You have beautiful insights, incredible information, and people need to know about how serious that is at the board. Thank you for everything that you do. And I said I want to give you a quick prayer. Lord, thank you so much for bringing us here to get together today and the opportunity to broadcast this key information to the world, and that Mr. Foley is here fighting for righteousness, fighting for you, Lord, trying to protect the children, trying to stand up for what's right in this world. Please give him more strength and embolden him even further. Give him the tools and the resources that he needs to save more children, to save more lives. Thank you, Lord, so much.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
Appreciate it. Tim, thanks again. Salute to you for all you do. Please stay safe. We'll keep praying for you, and we'll be in touch to have you on maybe next month. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm like when I said, when I leave here, I'm going back. I'm going to pull my cameras and check them, and then we're getting ready to go out. So next month I'll have fresh videos up on YouTube. If people want to see some of what we see, I don't post everything because my friends south of me watch also, and I don't like to give away what's going on, but I'll post it. If it's good stuff, I'll post it a couple months later. And I get people, well, that's old. I go, well, that's called OPSEC. You don't just go, oh, I got a good video. I'm going to put that up right now.
No, you're very good at what you do, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, God bless, man. Amazing story. Amazing work, bro. Thank you so much. Keep it up, man. We're praying for you, bro.
We're good.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Have
Have a good day.
You too, man. Safe travels.
Yes, sir.
So that was Tim Foley with Arizona Border Reconstruction. As you know, we just
Recon.
Oh, sorry, Reconstruction. I'm thinking
Almost.
Reconstruction. I'm glad you got it. Arizona. I did it really.
I wish
good
they were reconstructing it.
the whole show, and then I screwed up at the end. ArizonaBorderRecon.org. I got the website right.
There you go.
So please go to the website, support him if you can, whatever.
And listen to him. He ain't lying. Every main newscaster that I've been following for years that's been right about everything, my gut instinct and now what Mr. Foley is saying is corroborating with what I've been feeling, and it is time to prepare, guys. There's no other way around it. We have to prepare. Thank you so much for that insight as well, sir.
All right. And until then, that's going to be it for the show. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. It's pre-recorded, so we'll have it up on YouTube and Rumble soon. I'm Alice Lara here with
Zeke Rodriquez.
The sexy New Mexican.
The sexy New Mexican.
Right? Okay, that's what it is. Thank you, Tim. You guys have a great week. Stay safe out there, all right?
Yes,
all right, brother.
What?